Hi there, and welcome back to the Demystifying Mental Toughness Podcast with me, your host, David Charlton. This episode is part 6 of our 8-part series where I'm exploring the coach-athlete relationship. And today we're going to be focusing on something that quietly shapes many sporting environments, but it isn't often talked about, and that topic is interpersonal confidence. So, when we think about confidence in sport, most people immediately think about belief in ability, belief in performance, confidence in your skills, confidence in your ability to execute under pressure. But there is one other side of confidence that is just as important, and that's how confident we feel when we interact around other people. In other words, how comfortable we are about speaking up, about expressing our opinions, asking questions, or challenging something when we feel it just isn't right. And when you look through the lens of this coach-athlete relationship, interpersonal confidence can create some really, really interesting dynamics, to say the least. So we're going to imagine a situation, a scenario here, which I see an awful lot. We've got a coach who's very high in interpersonal confidence. So this is someone who communicates strongly, they're articulate, persuasive, and they're very comfortable leading conversations. They may even dominate discussions without really noticing it. And the challenge for this person, for this coach who's high in interpersonal confidence, is that sometimes they get in their own way without realizing it. And where I'm coming from there is, when others have a better point or a better idea, they might go on to interrupt without realizing it. They may talk more than they listen. They might rely on winging it, on the gift of the gab to push their perspective forward. And occasionally, particularly in more pressurized and intense environments, they can come across as aggressive or intimidating. And again, sometimes unintentionally. It's just their style. And if we put that coach alongside an athlete who's low in interpersonal confidence, an athlete who's extremely talented perhaps, this athlete might struggle to speak up. They might feel intimidated in conversations. They may hesitate to ask questions. They might downplay what they know. They may also accept criticism or comments that aren't entirely fair. And this is simply because they lack the confidence to challenge it. These athletes, well, they're often labeled as quiet or shy, but actually the reality is a lot more complex. Often they just simply don't feel safe, psychologically safe enough to express themselves. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this combination, this highly interpersonally confident coach, the one who speaks more, and then this quieter, lower in interpersonal confidence athlete who speaks less. The coach believes that they're leading well. The athlete becomes increasingly passive, disengaged, and cautious. What you might see with the athlete is that they avoid taking risks. They avoid mistakes. They avoid opportunities to stretch themselves. And then over time, they end up missing out on real chances to grow, to develop, to get better. So now the practical side. How can we help coaches create a better balance here? And this is where Sophia Jarrett's work and this 3+1 C's model of the coach-athlete relationship becomes really, really helpful. This model highlights 4 important elements, as I've touched on in previous episodes. So we've got closeness, this emotional connection between the coach and the athlete. We've got commitment, the intention to maintain this relationship over a period of time. We've got complementarity and how well the behaviors of the coach and the athlete work together. And then co-orientation, how aligned they are in their understanding of each other. So if we apply this framework to this situation that I've just described, we can start to see some really, really useful solutions. So firstly, closeness. For an athlete low in interpersonal confidence, this coach really needs to consider thinking about creating a psychologically safe environment. So what this looks like? Well, it means slowing down conversations, leaving space for responses, asking damn good open questions, simple questions like, what do you think? How did that feel for you? Is there anything you would like to do differently next time? These small invitations, well, they can gradually help an athlete feel that their voice matters. Then we've got commitment. So athletes need to feel that the coach is genuinely invested in their development and in them as a person, not just their performance. And when athletes sense this patience, this support over time, they're going to have a willingness to speak up and contribute. And this is going to gradually increase as time goes by. Then we've got complementarity. This is about how behaviors fit together. A highly confident coach may need to consciously dial down their dominance in conversations. So not their leadership, but the space that they take up. Sometimes the most powerful coaching moment is simply pausing and listening and observing, just allowing the athlete to finish their thoughts without any interruptions, giving them some space and some time. Then finally, we've got co-orientation, and this is about shared understanding. Do the coach and the athlete actually understand how each other experiences the environment? A confident coach might assume they're quiet because they've got nothing to say. But actually, the athlete might actually be thinking, I'm not sure it's safe to say what I really think. Bringing these perceptions into the open through calm conversations, well, this is going to transform the relationship. When we link this discussion back to mental toughness, we're really touching on one of these key measures within Peter Clough's 4Cs model, and that is confidence. And this is going to closely link with confidence and ability to perform too. If we get interpersonal confidence right, that confidence to communicate from the athlete, well, they're likely to express themselves better. Yes, verbally, by asking questions, by challenging respectfully, but you also might see and likely see a difference on the training pitch, court or course, or when they compete. And for coaches, the challenge is this. Your confidence really should lift the athlete's voice, not silence it. So as you reflect on your own coaching style and on your own coaching environment, I'd like you just to consider this question. Are you creating space for your athletes to contribute, or are they simply learning to stay quiet? Because let's face it, sometimes the quietest athlete in the room is the one who's got the most insights to offer. They just need some confidence and some permission to speak up and to share it. Now, next week, in the next episode of this series, we're going to shift our attention to another element of mental toughness. We're going to explore challenge, and in particular, risk orientation, how athletes and how coaches respond to pressure in this respect. Do they play it safe, or do they make rash decisions? So, if you're enjoying this series of the coach-athlete relationship, stay tuned for that. It's going to be a really good episode. And as always, if you found this episode helpful, feel free to share it with another coach, an athlete, or a parent who might benefit from hearing my words of wisdom here. Thanks for listening and viewing if you're watching on YouTube. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness Podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sport psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.